Let's go! Michael Van Buren gets the nod here to come in for Garrett Nussmeier. Comment below. Do you believe he should be the full-time starter? And there are a few extra things that we do need to discuss regarding his situation, which we will get to at the end. The bottom line is I love the play design here. One thing LSU did a lot of that I think they should have done more when Joe Sloan was the play caller, which is throw to the left or run plays to the left while having your offensive line zone block in the opposite direction. You can see our Garrett Nussmeier film study to know more about that. Look at all this flow on this run action here to the right. It is a first down play with a brand new quarterback. You're often thinking that this is going to be a run. I love throwing in this spot, and now we have all types of space to make something happen. This is a bit of an awkward throw. This is a ball that Garrett missed to Aaron Anderson to win the game versus USC, and this ball is slightly behind that of Aaron. We need to be gaining more yards when we have this much space to work with, and because his ball was behind him and because Aaron had to regather himself, Xavion loses the angle on this block, and instead of this being a 4 or 5 yard gain, we need Aaron to make something happen, and he's not able to do that. Okay, so now we get to the second down play, and, one thing on the last play, the snap was a little bit off to the right of MVB, and then we also have Destin Hill playing, and this is a better angle of the play, and it's also a better way to read if MVB should have actually handed this off. It's tough, right? This end is playing really tight to the line of scrimmage. He does come down on the running back, so this is a good pull read by MVB, and once again, we have space to work with. It's just we can't block. We just simply cannot do it. There are so many instances where we do have two tight ends, these two players in particular, and we're going up against one player, and we can't get it done. Right, there are so many instances where we have 2-on-1s. We broke this down in our live stream last night on a little Bauer Sharp little slip that we ran after his fumble. We can't block one guy with two hardly ever. This should have been a nice gain as well. Instead, it's only a couple, and it sets up 3rd and 8. So Alabama shows something somewhat interesting, and then they actually just back everyone out and becomes a rush 3, drop 8 here. And one thing from an Alabama perspective is we had open guys when they rushed 3, drop 8. We just didn't hit them. Go look at the Garrett film study for yourself, okay? The reason I'm showing you this angle, we'll show you in all 22 as well. Let's get into the mechanics. Okay, good wide base. And, this looks fine. It's just off kilter, okay? And we need Xavion to make an incredible catch, and he's able to do that. And here's what's interesting when you look at it from this angle. This is the exact play concept that Garrett Nussmeier missed, and quite frankly, that miss cost us the game. All right, if you are a Garrett Nussmeier defender, and in terms of him still being the starter, you cannot defend him anymore when you look at this. It's pretty much literally the to the T the exact same thing, okay? Out and up over here, and they have a 4/2 over here, okay? Then the backside dig is open to the backside of this drop 8 coverage, okay? So Van Buren starts off looking left and working to the backside here. The weirder thing about this is Garrett actually got to this read a little bit quicker. He just didn't rip it. MVB got to it and finally decided to throw it. Now, the difference here is Garrett's was a dig, and so it wasn't the same. This is just a stop, if you will. And Xavion's there. He has a little slip right there. And I think this slip caused this ball to be a weird throw. You can see when MVB is waiting for this, it should be out by now. Waits a little bit longer. And now he's throwing the football to a guy that is slipping. So I think that partially causes this ball to drift on him. And you get an incredible catch right here by Xavion. I mean, look at this. God, what a season for number 0. That is absolutely freaking ridiculous. He's always been good at the incredible catch. Man, then we get to here, and once again, I love these play calls where we are zone blocking to the left and running something in the opposite direction, okay? I don't know why Sloan never did it. We have clamored for it for a long time. And what this misdirection does is it takes your offensive line out of the play. They are all decoys, okay? And they have to respect it, even though we can't really run the ball all that well. And look at how much stuff we have open, okay? This isn't the worst option, but we shouldn't throw this to Trey'Dez Green. But it's not the worst, all right? Then you have the deep over here if you want to get really sexy with it right here. And then we have Kyle here, and we can't complete it. It's thrown behind him. It's low. Is it a drop by Kyle? Kind of, sort of, but it's a bad throw. And here's the end zone copy of it. Roll out to the right side. And once again, we had some success with the Garrett rollouts as well. This ball is low. And Kyle still should catch that, but it needs to be a better throw. So I thought Jacques Doucet asked a really good question to Frank is, how much stuff can you implement that's new to an offense, and how much stuff can you just bring back from the old regime, which, of course, is Joe Sloan. This is one of Joe's better play calls, right? It's one that Eli Drinkowitz has run quite a bit himself, which is you start off looking left and then you just delay, roll out here to the right side, and we're trying to hit Harlem Berry into the flat. Once again, it's a rush 3, drop 8, where guys are indeed open. Okay, we get a penalty on this play, but look at this. MVB, if you want to run, you can run. If not, look, he sees this window to Kyle and he throws it to him, and it's complete. The ball is indeed low, and it's dropped. Okay, you'll get it here. Once again, this is a good job by Bauer Sharp on the rush 3, drop 8. Okay, it's an easy block, and of course, at some point he's going to lose it. He spins out, but look at all the space. Alex Atkins did mostly a good job as the play caller. Okay, this is a difficult throw as well, thrown across your body into this window. That's a good spot right there by MVB as well, and Kyle's just got to catch that. I mean, that's a big game, but there's a penalty on it anyway. We get to this 3rd and 10, and part of why you need to tune into PHL is that we go live during games. Okay, we do first quarter analysis, third quarter analysis, pregame, halftime, postgame, all that stuff. And we get to this 3rd and 10, and I was so angry at Michael Van Buren on this play. Okay, first thing is, once again, Xavion is open on a dig. Okay, we're running the same exact play that we ran with Garrett a little bit earlier. Switch vertical here to the left, work back to the dig to the right, and you can see that we do have Xavion right here. Okay, now, if this is Garrett, he would need to throw this. Obviously, you have the run option with a guy like Michael Van Buren, and he takes advantage of it. And the problem here is he slides, okay? Now, once again, if you dive face first here, and let's see where he actually begins to slide. I do think the spot still should have been enough for a first down. They overturned the spot to make it a 4th down situation. I still think they should have given LSU the first down, but you just cannot slide in that spot. And I want to apologize to MVB. I said there was a play that I remembered him sliding early before the sticks. I couldn't find it. Maybe there was one. I don't know. I'm misremembering stuff. But the bottom line is, on this play, I don't mind this run here by MVB because there was pressure to the right side, or to his left, if you will. And, this is open. We want to throw this a good chunk of the time. But he's also picking this up pretty easily if he just doesn't slide here, okay? Just fall forward if you don't want to take the hit, and there you go. Alrighty, so if you're a college football fan, you're going to love this breakdown, because this shatters my heart that LSU is not a well-coached team, and that Alabama's coaching operation is really, really, really high level. I don't think I've seen Alabama do this yet in a short yardage situation, but defensively, you are in a bad spot if it's and goal. So what you want to do is try and draw a penalty some way, somehow. So watch what happens. This Vanderbilt linebacker does a hut, or whatever the noise is, and guess what? You could see it. He does it, and then the defensive line stems, okay? Stems, and there's a false start penalty to the left. It's not a lot, okay? But they call it, Donovan Green barely budged, and guess what? This took a touchdown off the board for LSU, making this, eventually they kicked the field goal, making this a 7-point game instead of a 4-point game. So now what does Alabama do? Well, they said, look, we know if we stem our defensive line on 4th and short, they have a tendency to have a false start penalty. And guess what? It works, okay? Now, if you're the LSU coaching staff, you have got to tell your guys after that critical mistake was made a few weeks ago that on 4th and short, we cannot have an early jump on a false start penalty. That is exactly what happens, and we have to punt the football. It's bad coaching. It's really, really, really bad coaching. You can see it here. If you want to call disconcerting signals, because it seems like it just depends on what was said, you can get into if this should be a penalty, but, they stem, and we false start. You've got to tell your LSU guys, hey, we can't let this happen. We just simply cannot let this happen. I still think we should have gone for it on that 4th and 6 there, but to each their own. Harold Perkins makes the first perk play of the season, and we're able to get the football back here in really good field position. And once again, this was really good stuff by Alex Atkins. Let's keep taking our offensive line out of the game. Zone blocking play to the left. Let's use them as decoys and work everything to the right. Once again, there's not a single block that they need to execute for this play to work. All right, they just need to go along with the play. And guess what? MVB probably should just rip this to Bauer Sharp. I understand he's also looking to see if there's something explosive happening down the field. This is really well distributed by the Alabama DBs, okay? So this is as perfectly guarded as you will ever see this play. And look, that misdirection still gets us a solid 4 here, okay? Get this to Bauer maybe a little bit sooner, and we're picking up more yards. But instead, MVB just runs this kind of softly directly out of bounds. I mean, I would have liked a few extra yards here. Clock continues to move regardless this early in the game. But yeah, that should have been a better gain right there from Michael. And then we get to the 2nd and 6 rip. Holy crap. This is some really good quarterbacking, okay? It's very difficult considering these are deeper concepts. I give Carius Kern a lot of credit. I think even having Trey'Dez Green stay in to chip hurts more than it helps because that's how poor of a blocker he's been this year. Just part of it. He's more of a receiver, if anything. Because this really didn't help Donovan Green. Carius Kern all that much at all. But, Kern's able to sit in there and step up and get the job done. Okay? So now we're running dagger here to the top, which is a vertical and a dig being run right behind it. So Aaron obviously draws the coverage, and we are working this dig here. And look, he gets to it. We can hit this to Trey'Dez if you want to for a nice gain. We can get into this ball needing to be delivered a little bit sooner, but this is from the opposite hash to the opposite side of the field, and he gets it in there, okay? Yes, it's not the prettiest. This is an excellent job by Chris working back to the football. God, it really is an underrated grab right there by Chris, and it's a first down. And this is good, okay? He feels the pressure here to the left. Reset, okay? We can get into the footwork being more sound. It looks fine to me, and he's ripping this bad boy. Look at this. Chris, man, that is such high-level wide receiver play right there by Chris. So first down, we're running counter GY to the left side. This is what Atkins wants to do. He's a counter guy, okay? So, we're blocking down. This gets a little weird because I do think counter can be more difficult to block versus an odd front, which is, a 3-man front instead of an easier 4-man front. And, 94 does a good job squeezing this down. And then, we want to kick out here, and run it up in here. They just do a really good job guarding this. This is not the worst block play in the world. And Harlem does a good job, getting skinny and getting what he can here. But just really good defense by Allen. 2nd down and 8. This looks open to Xavion because it is. But the design of this is to have a tight end slip here and delay to the right. And what we're hoping for is that they're going to be in man coverage and that this route clears out here, this route clears out here, and that all these coverage defenders are going to go with him. We've run this play plenty of times. We really have, okay? And normally there is a running back wheel attached to this, and then Barra Sharp leaking back this way, okay? Once again, we've run this so many times. So I think just based on how this is actually run, Barry here is supposed to be actually, going on a wheel, but because this guy was unblocked, he might have alerted and just picked him up. Okay, so now this basically becomes a one-man route to the right side. This play has worked so many times for us. Alabama just had the perfect defense, and guess what? We just got to live to fight another down, and that's a good. Honestly, we probably will see it here. Okay, once again, you delay. Harlan Berry gets smashed right there, so that kind of dirties up the read. Rarely do you see that, and now 16 is able to basically blow the play up and then get right here. In this spot, we just want to throw this into the ground at the feet of the running back, okay? This is just never getting completed, and we're lucky it didn't get picked, okay? Ugh. Third and Chapatulis. I've got to shout out our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and the Board Therapy. They're the ones that have made these film studies so freaking awesome. And look, this throw right here from Michael Van Buren. Are you kidding me? I mean, look, there was a false start penalty by Trey'Dez Green on the play before, and now we're up against it. So let me first start with one micro thought on this play. It was asked to Frank Wilson recently, and then this was brought up religiously in our post games. Why didn't Trey'Dez Green get any targets? Trey'Dez Green, it's because we used him as a blocker. I would say probably half, if not more than his reps in this game, were him staying in to chip and not actually being a receiver and going out on routes. Okay, it's not really his game, and you'll see here he doesn't really get that good of a chip here to help out Ori Williams, but the protection here is good enough. Okay, honestly, it's very good. Still, we need to make an amazing throw, and Michael Van Buren just said, F it, I'm going to just rip this football into the tightest of windows. And look at when he's actually deciding to unleash this bad boy. This is early anticipation to get this through this tight of a window. The end zone copy is going to do this throw a lot more justice, and boom, he gets it in there, okay? And you'll see it here. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous. Once again, good pass protection. This is really good right here from Paul Mabinga, who's been benched and brought back in. Finally, he learns how to pick up a twist. He passes this off 31 to 57, and then he picks up 41. That's really good stuff right there from Brad Davis's group. And guess what? We have a quarterback who's willing to sit in and just trust his read and just rip this bad boy. Rip this bad boy, baby. Oh, my goodness. Someone get me a pillow to put on my lap because football can be romantic when it's played with confidence, baby. Let's go from the 7, okay? We get another false start here by Trey'Dez Green, and, well, you can see he's jumping. He's just jumping early to get off the football. I really don't even know what this formation was. I also don't understand these substitutions. We just got a big catch. There's no need to put Destin Hill in the game to take Barryon Brown out and whatever else. There really is no need to substitute, okay? The rotation just does not make any sense. It's a false start, and now we're up against it, okay? I don't think this would have done anything anyway. I like the idea. Crunch everyone in and actually pitch this out to the left, okay? It looks like they would have had this covered, but all right, so we make all these substitutions after that, big catch. Once again, I don't understand why Destin Hill's playing if we're never actually going to target him. Look at where the play clock is when we're actually running this play. Y'all, we are down 2 possessions. We don't have time to lollygag, all right? We have got to go. We have got to play quicker. Now we get to first and goal from the 12, and this right here is just not good quarterbacking. It's also, to me, not the best play call here. All right. So I understand. Um, yeah, right here, this is just really, really, really poor quarterbacking. Okay. Looks like we got off a little early. Pause. That's what my wife said the first night. I'm just kidding. But either way, we start off with the heavy zone blocking to the right and run stuff to the left. So I like that. It's just, in this situation, all right, you have to know that if you're doing this fake handoff to the right and you're booting here to the left, MVB has to know that if there is an unblocked player, he is going to be screaming down and you're going to be going against the grain. All right, so it's difficult. Just throw this to Chris. Just throw it. Okay, it's probably getting blown up. All right, but he doesn't throw it to Chris. They have everything guarded here, and it looks like this was just a one-man route concept. Look, Trey'Dez Green right here is just blocking. Just got to throw it and hope Chris can make this guy miss. Instead, he stops to try and make something happen. If you're going to stop here and make something happen, you've got to make this defensive tackle. Now, once again, this is a DT, not an end. All right, so it's also important, and we'll show you the end zone copy to give you a better angle of this, to understand what MVB is and what he isn't, okay? This is a ridiculous play as well. So Michael Van Buren is mobile. He is pretty mobile. But if you were to go down the list of the SEC, the mobility aspect of MVB is so vital to this offense because he gives you something with this mobility where Garrett gives you -0 when it comes to mobility. The issue is he's not special when it comes to the mobility. He's got some. It's not ridiculous, okay? I'm telling you right now, a Diego Pavia is getting out of this. A Marcel Reed is making 2022 miss. So if you're MVB, we cannot take a negative here. We just cannot take it, all right? Throw it into the ground. Avoid this sack by all measures, okay? If you got to run a gazillion yards backwards to make sure a DT, thicker DN type can't bring you down, you just cannot take this sack. If you're going to hold it and do the dipsy doodle thing and you have all types of ground to work with, you can't run into this sack, and he does just that. All right, I also want to show you this angle because you could see that MVB did a good job juking 22 down to the ground, and then he just kind of loses his own balance and just runs into him. Okay, if he actually just kept going, he's probably getting out of this. But one big downside of this entire LSU operation is look at how much time we burn. So it's 2nd and goal, and we're at the 22-yard line. This perfectly encapsulates the red zone ineptitudes of LSU, okay? Penalty, then super sack, and 2nd and goal here from Opelousas. And this should have been a big one. This should have been a big one, okay? So they are getting super exotic here. I mean, there's just a lot going on. And the best thing to do when you see one of these types of things is just run something quick, right? So it's a blitz off the edge. He's backing out. He's going here. And it's a lot going on. So we have a quick screen being run here to the right side. Now, here's the thing. They've seen this play a gazillion times, all right? So now can we execute simple blocks? Look at all these guys to the left, and look at all of these guys ejecting themselves to the right, okay? So can we get this done? Well, the first thing here is we leave the corner unblocked, all right? Sometimes that's the design of it where the receiver blocks the safety, and we just hope that the corner could beat him. Part of the receiver not blocking the corner is that if it is man coverage, you'll go with the receiver and you can get a 2-for-1. But still, the ball is high. It's not well located. I don't know if Barryon even needed to jump, and it's incomplete, okay? If we get this done, y'all, this is huge. And we also got the extra benefit that the safety slipped here, okay? 3rd and West Monroe. And I want to shout out KTBS Channel 3 for having me on their network not too long ago, okay? So we are down by 2 possessions, and we run this play, and it's conservative. Let's call it what it is. The downside of running this is, you're not ever picking this up. You're also keeping this clock moving. Okay. So we elect to run. Box is really light. But then again, you get to the downsides of Trey'Dez being your actual tight end. Okay, so we're motioning him here. Let's get him ahead of steam. Zone blocking here to the left side. This play side double actually is really nasty from our DTs. It's just, this is a thicker defensive end. Okay, Overton just ate our lunch. And for Green, we need this helmet, and it's better seen in the last angle. He rounds this off. Frank Wilson actually talked about this when it comes to playing edge prospects and the difference between an SEC edge and other conferences. These guys are just so unfreaking believably athletic where, you don't want to round things off because these guys can just scream down, not really have any wasted movement. So it's so important when your blocking technique happens that it's good. Okay, so you can see Trey'Dez rounds this off, and we need his helmet to be right here, okay? We need this to be here because this end has to respect MVB's ability to pull it, all right? But by squaring it up like this, you're allowing Overton to really hit this square, knock you back. If he needs to disengage and then go with MVB, he could still do it. But if Trey'Dez's helmet is right here, we're not allowing him as easy of a path to come across here, all right? Then you also see that this play side double was really good for Thompson. I didn't call him Shanahan this time. That's nasty work, okay? The problem is we lose the block here to the left side, and then, when we're climbing, honestly, a good bit of this is Trey'Dez just getting caved in right here, and Overton's able to make this play. Honestly, if this was a little bit cleaner, we might squeeze through and actually get this done. We might, but because Trey'Dez got caved in, it is what it is, right? Still, we weren't ever going to score. Clock continues to move. We kick the field goal, of course, and there you go. And then take a look at this. So we run that draw, and then we get to here. Look at how much time we burn on the draw. Right? Remember, the only thing that can stop the clock outside of 2 minutes is an incompletion. So the benefit of the Barryon incompletion that, it could have gone for a big gain, but the ball hit the ground and stopped the clock. Well, look at when we're actually snapping this with 4 seconds left. We should have already had our field goal unit ready to run out there and hurry up and kick this bad boy. Whatever, all right? Then we get into the actual field goal here. This was not well protected at all, okay? 3 is basically able to run through here untouched, okay? This is bad special teams, okay? We need 77 to step down, all right? We don't want to give up interior pressure here. And, that's bad for 3 to be able to get through that clean. This is such a poorly coached team. I really cannot tell you how many more times I'm going to say that, but goodness gracious, it is so rancid. Okay, so Alabama downs a punt because they have good special teams, and we are backed up into our own territory. It is stupid to run the football here, okay? I understand why you're running it because you don't want to have a safety. Well, you're down 17-9, okay? If you run, once again, clock will continue to move. They know a run is coming. All right, you have heavier personnel out here. This would actually be a great down to throw, all right? But they're teeing off on the run, and there's nothing we can really do about it. We're actually very lucky that this was not a safety. And then once again, the next LSU coach, you need to actually bring in some corn-fed tight ends, okay? We need actual boots-on-the-ground tight ends. We need Dylan Gordons, Colin Jeters, those types of tight ends that don't get destroyed in the run game, okay? That's part of the benefit of having a tight end. They can block and they can throw or catch or whatever, All right, so we're zone blocking here to the left side. And once again, what did we tell you? 42 was going to eat our lunch, and he did that very thing. This is a difficult block for Trey'Dez Green to make. It's also a dangerous one right here because zone blocking when you're deep into your own territory can get dangerous because guys can knife in. They could really sell out to stop the run. Trey'Dez doesn't get down on it quick enough. This is just a block that any tight end is struggling with, and this play is just blown up. And then actually, this really wasn't Trey'Dez. 18 also hit Trey'Dez here. So, you really can't fault him here. Boom. Okay, this play is blown up. Then we have our other tight end, 88, coming around. And Donovan Green, we're having him come to wham block this 3-tech. Okay? Oh, yeah, this actually isn't on Donovan Green. Looks like Harris Kern just misses this block. Rarely, if we're stepping down here, we do not want the defensive tackle to go unblocked. So it looks like he's trying to block 96, and 57 here, Harris Kern's trying to go to the backer. It's hard. You can see I'm stuttering. I don't really – this is very, very, very confusing what we're trying to accomplish here. So 57 lets the DT go across his face, unblocked here. And now, I mean, this is just a mess. This is a mess. DT blows up Donovan Green, and lucky enough, we do not have a safety. Nevertheless, we should be throwing here. We should be throwing. So it's 2nd and 9, and what do we do again? We run the football again. Why are we running the football? Okay? We cannot run. We cannot run. All right? We're in 12 personnel. We get a lighter box. It's a 3-man front. And run an RPO, run a glance, run something. I still don't know why 2 is playing if we never actually throw it to him. Okay, if we're RPOing this, boom, boom, safety's right here, this is a big gainer. Okay, but we're running versus non-favorable run looks. And the reason why we're running is because we're backed up. And guess what? Because our operation is so slow, it's tick, 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 tick. You'll get the end zone copy here. It's pretty clear. We are running a zone run to the right side. What were we talking about earlier? Let's not have our offensive line dictate this game. They're not good. So we are asking, just think about the ask here. 22 is eating our lunch, all right? We are asking Barry Sharp as the in man of the line of scrimmage to block down on their thicker defensive ends. These are big boys. Blocking down on LT Overton, he can't block a receiver. Play's blown up. Okay, so we have to have 2 guys to account for it. Trey'Dez gets spooked by 22. His job right here was to actually come around and block either 10 or 24. So LT Overton needs those 2 blocks. What are we supposed to do? It's a bad call. It's a bad call. And now it's 3rd and 9. This is really, really, really tough stuff because, well, this is on Trey'Dez Green. Okay, this is a big, colossally massive drop. This is good scouting by us. You can see Trey'Dez points out that this guy could be blitzing. This is a good hot alert by 11 here, Michael Van Buren. And goodness gracious, this, I mean, you couldn't ask. Literally, if you're telling me, hey, we're down 17-9, backed up 39, I'm taking this all day, every day. And we have our best player offensively right here. I mean, you catch this. We honestly don't know what's happening here because 16 is very locked in on this receiver. This eventually does get chased down by someone, but this is no less than 10, 15 yards of yak. No less. Did Trey'Dez Green drop this ball? Well, you guys know. The latest football fashion never makes sense to me, okay? The baggy undershirt is one thing, okay? But then the jiggly mouthpiece, I think, had an impact on this play right here, okay? So you could see that, I know it's a little blurry because of, the camera motion. You could see the camera or you could see the mouthpiece because, if it's loose, it's going to jiggle. Look, it's in his line of sight right here. Okay? The main reason he dropped it, though, actually, let me see. He actually is looking this all the way in. All right? It doesn't look like he's already turned his head to go upfield, but look at that. Another thing about the jiggly mouthpiece is there are instances where he does have it in his mouth and we're running the football. All right, it could be a tell, right? If I know that it's going to be a throw, and then on 3rd and 9, of course, we know it's going to be a throw, the mouthpiece is normally out. But if we're running, the mouthpiece is in because, it's a more physical play, then that could be a dead giveaway for any team, okay? And here's another angle of it. So that's the mouthpiece right there. Look, y'all. Yeah, and I got an angry message about this. I really, really, really did. Like, why are you talking about that? Look, the thing that is in his line of vision of where the football is. Okay? If it's in, see, it looks like his head. Normally, when there's drops like this, you're looking up to see where you're going to actually be running the football. Okay? That doesn't look, it does look like his eyes are off the football here at the end. But still, you can't tell me that that did not play a role in that. Okay? Put your mouthpiece in. Just put it in. Pause. So now the score is 20-9. Once again, there are a gazillion Frank Wilson game management mistakes. I apologize for bashing him for the end of the second quarter thing where he actually did end up agreeing with me that he should have been more conservative. But Garrett did just miss a wide open thing. But God bless. All right. You cannot punt right there on 4th and 9. You just simply cannot punt the football. You do just need to go for it when you're backed up. Because if you're down by 8, all they need to do is drive to get in the field goal range, and the game is over. All right, it's now 20-9. I would have just gone for it on 4th and 9 backed up. Because clock is also working against you as well in that spot. One thing about MVB is that the snaps were a little low. These could be a little bit more efficient. It wasn't ever really a big problem. So we start off here, and once again, we're in an aggressive mode. God bless, dude. Let's see. And we start off here with a little bit of a drop to Trey'Dez. And this ball is low. There was a lot of low targets mixed into this. Normally when a ball is low, you can be overextended with that front leg. And let's see, it's cut off here. Yeah, you could see he was striding forward to throw it, and then he replants and throws his football, and it's low to Trey'Dez Green. He's probably still need to catch this, but he drops. Hey, let's go back to the TV copy. It's 2nd and 10. It looks like we're running snag. This is a very common play that we run. It's a good read right here to just throw this. Obviously, that looks open. We can get into if you should throw that, but normally that is the read. If you're Barryon, let's just see if we can get vertical and pick up the first down. He tries to cut to the outside of this guy, and he gets brought down. Okay, we get to this 3rd and 4, and this is just really good quarterbacking right here from MVP, and you had the mobility aspect added into this. The protection here is fine. Okay, throw a whole shot. That's a tough throw to make. You could just throw this to Trey'Dez. This is probably getting the job done. He likes to be aggressive himself, to step up and just pick up these yards on his own. And guess what? He's able to get the job done. This time he does not slide, and he falls forward for a first down. So, obviously, we get to the fumble here that ends the game, and, it is what it is. Kern gets beat. Pierre, number 42, actually didn't really touch the ball. There was a really good angle of it on the ESPN broadcast, and the ball jarred loose, and, it is what it is. Van Buren, under 50% completion percentage. Obviously, the Trey'Dez drop is mixed in there. There were some other balls that could have been caught that were dropped, and also some that were low. Ball location for MVB wasn't the best. He took, once again, some bad sacks. This was something that was on his Mississippi State tape, that he would take some diabolically terrible sacks. There was a lot that you could point to that wasn't great. But then again, he's inserted into a really tough spot versus Alabama. Okay, so I think so much of us were just excited that we saw what a running option could do for this team, and Van Buren showed some of that in this game, and then also mixed into that. You saw some balls that were really fired in. The Chris Hilton throw was good. The Berryon throw was good. But this performance from MVP wasn't as good as we initially thought because we were just excited to see Garrett get out of there. Garrett 18-21, but that stat line is misleading. And that's why you can't just look at the QBRs and all of that. The QBR would say that Garrett had a great game and MVP didn't. The PFF grade said MVP played phenomenally, and Garrett did not. So it's important to come to your own conclusions. That's why you watch these film studies and all of that. But, about Michael Van Buren, I do think it's important to see a quarterback kind of sort of struggle and have some issues here because it does show you what really is holding back this entire LSU operation. So it's coaching. It's just that simple. LSU, it's not close when it comes to the Southeastern Conference. This is the worst coached team in the conference. And I like Frank. But, as much as I've gone back and forth because Garrett did miss that ball at the end of the second quarter, that's fine. The reason I'm bringing up that decision again, though, is that Frank in the Monday press conference said, hey, we are going out here to play for the win. All right? Good. I like that you say that. But then you have two really bad punt decisions, all right? After the 4th and 1 penalty, when it's 4th and 6, I'm probably still going for that, especially if you say, hey, we're going to be aggressive. Then 4th and 9 backed up, I'm probably still going for that as well, considering all they need is a field goal, and you're down to the final 8 minutes. By the way, you're down 8, all right? So, yes, you're still technically down by just one possession, but in actuality, it's 2 possessions because you only have a 50-50 chance of hitting the 2-point conversion if you do, by happen chance, finally score a touchdown. So I hate that, right? Be aggressive. If you say you're going to be aggressive and you're going to be aggressive at the end of the second quarter, have that same mentality for the rest of the game. Then also, just this overall offensive environment is so bad. And I know that talking point has been made a gazillion times, how bad this offensive line is. But in particular, this film study is going to show you how bad the tight end play is. It is so atrociously bad, okay? The blocking, all of it, the timing, everything is so bad. And I say that because I do think Alex Atkins in his first game as a play caller alongside, it was a collaborative approach. It was good. But now we get to the big question. And before I answer the burning MVP question, if he should be the starter the rest of the way, once again, with all the YouTube disputes and all of that, a lot of my stuff is getting demonetized now. My Garrett film study that's making numbers it got demonetized by YouTube. So if it's in your heart's desire, please drop a donation. These do take a very long time to do. Now, I do think MVP should start. I do. Even though this performance was flawed, we need to see what he has. But, and this will be received with some blowback, I could understand him being selfish and saying, look, I was put in this backup spot last year at Mississippi State and my red shirt was burned. There's 3 games left in a lost season. I could still play one. I'm going to do what's right for me and save a year of eligibility, which is, let's be honest, y'all, a $1 million decision, okay? If you are a Power 4 starter, and let's just say Michael Van Buren a few years from now going into year 5, has that extra year of eligibility, that is a minimum $1 million decision as a starting P4 quarterback. So I would totally understand him doing that. Now, if we were in the middle of a playoff run, that's different. It is very, very different. So I understand I'm LSU through and through. I am team first. I've talked about the redshirt thing and how I never want my top backup to be, are we going to redshirt him or are we not? So that discussion needs to be made before the season. I will also say that this hamstrung us, ironically, with Garrett. in his first season, as a lot of you remember, the top backup was Garrett, and because of the flip-flop situation and all that. But um, I can get it. I can get it at this point. So, but if MVB says, "Look, coaching staff, I'm here for these final 3 games," well, guess what? I'm starting them all 3 and seeing what I have. So you guys let me know what you think. We'll talk to you soon, okay? It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Tonight we're doing. Oh, we're getting some iced coffee. Let's go.